को दान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेदे गाय जहाँ चरित वेदे गाय जहाँ चरित श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अगम जनारा बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अगम जनारा बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना श्रीला प्रभुपाद लोकेर जीवाना श्रीला गुरुदेव पतित पवना आहा प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पाद छाया आहा प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पाद छाया एबे जा सुखी भुवाना बेजास कुसुक्री भुवाना जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्रील प्रभुपाद की श्रील प्रभुपाद थिरुभव महाउत्सव की नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने जय प्रभुपाद नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे Jai Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Gauranga. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vivo! Jaya Radha, Nila Madhav Radha, Nila Madhav Radhe. Jaya Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Gaura Hari. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Gaur Premanandi Jam Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Sat His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Iskcon Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Iskcon BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Srila Prabhupada Tirobhava Mahautsava Ki Srila Prabhupada Disappearance Day Anniversary Ki Jayam Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Shata His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Srila Gorakishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sadgosai Prabhu Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Ghor Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Brajabhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Ganga Maiya Ki Yamuna Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan Ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. You can sing the song Jayanilo Premadana. Give her a second. Okay, you can play. Oh, nice. Huh? Yeah, then the books.
In the large book, it's on page 91, Lamentation due to separation from the Lord. Narottam Das Thakur's song from Prarthana. Saparshada Bhagavad Viraha Janita Vilapa. You got it? Okay. What page is in the small book? 91. I guess you have different editions. Got it? And then 91 in the big book. In that book. 69 in that book, and different versions. Different strokes for different folks. All right, I think it's Dotal. Means Jayani lo premadana Karuna pracho Eno Jayani lo prematana Karuna pracho Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Charyataku Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Charyataku Kaha mora swarup rupa Kaha sanatan Kaha mora swarup rupa Kaha sanatan Kaha dasaragu nata patita pavan Kaha dasaragu nata patita pavan Kaha mora bhatta yuga, kaha kaviraj. Kaha mora bhatta yuga, kaha kaviraj. Eka kale kota gela gora nataraj. Eka kale kota gela gora nataraj. Pasane kutibo mata anale pasibo. Pasane kutibo mata anale pasibo. Gauranga gunera nidhi kota gele pabo. Gauranga gunera nidhi kota gele pabo. Se saba sangira sange ye koila vilas. Se saba sangira sange ye koila vilas. Se sangana paya kande nara tamadas. Se sangana paya kande naratamadas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Narottama Das, Jaya Narottama Das, Jaya Narottama Das, Jaya Narottama Das. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's read the translation. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Srila Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. So today is the most auspicious day, Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, Tirobhava, Srila Prabhupada ki. And you can say there's no difference between the appearance day and the disappearance day of great Vaishnavas. There's hardly any difference. When they are here, physically present, they guide and give so much blessings, compassionate to the fallen, living entities, so much revelation from the scriptures. And when they leave behind all their wonderful instructions. And they don't simply just go and disappear. They go back to the eternal pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. So from the Vaishnava understanding, it is both a joyous time to celebrate their appearance as well as the disappearance. Of course, when you miss someone, you will feel the pangs of separation, feelings of friendship, affection, loving exchanges, all those will be experienced, and therefore we sometimes cry in separation. So you can see here in this particular song, which is quite common in our Iskcon movement, we sing this song. I guess in Gaudiya Math we do that also. I'm not sure. I haven't been there when they sing the songs, so I can't comment. But at least in Iskcon we sing this prayer as from Prarthana by Narottam Das Thakur. It says, lamentation due to separation from Lord and his associates. So in reading the translation, you can see how Narottam Das Thakur is feeling intense separation from his from these personalities like Rupa Goswami, Swarup Damodar, Sanatan Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj, all the Goswamis. Even he is feeling separation from Mahaprabhu. So his crying out in this song is not something he's just writing as a, I have to do this, and sometimes we give lip service, so to say, yeah. When someone dies, some people just write eulogies, just to say, all right, I know the bloke and I'm going to say a few things. But here it's completely different. Here they feel, and it's on a different intensity altogether. They truly love one another. It's on a different level. The difference between a mundane feeling of lamentation is someone you miss because you both exploited each other and enjoyed exploiting each other. Whereas here it's totally different. It's not selfish. It's that they truly miss the spiritual association that each devotee gave the other. And this separation is based on true feelings of love. In the mundane world, when somebody dies, they will cry for a few days, maybe months. Exceptional cases for their entire life, but in general, after a year or two, they'll probably find another partner and get married, Life goes on like that. And I remember one time we went to this home where a man, he lost his wife. He had 3 children. They were very young, 6-year-old, 4-year-old and 2-year-old, like that. So when we were there, he was crying so much. Nobody could control him. He was falling left, right and center. And of course we spoke. It's hard to speak about the spirit, soul, and you're not the body when they are feeling so much separation from their... in his case, he was missing his wife. But nonetheless, 6 months later, we saw him. He's coming to the temple, and he had a brand new wife. So that's the difference between someone who's so mundane and personalities like Narottam Das Thakur. So if we extend that to ourselves, how much do we actually miss Srila Prabhupada, Narottam Das Thakur actually didn't meet many of these personalities, and yet he was feeling great separation from them. So you can see the difference in spiritual relationship as opposed to a mundane relationship. When you perform devotional practices properly, then you will feel separation. Ultimately, our sadhana bhakti will make us feel separation from Srila Prabhupada and all the associates, all our acharyas, the Goswamis, and of course Radha and Krishna themselves. Now, I'm going to cover a few things about Srila Prabhupada, and then I hope that some of you can also add some more information. Let's see where the mic is. Okay, you have the microphone. All right, so I'll ask you all some questions and you all can answer, and that way we can at least hopefully churn something out. Now, we are going to celebrate the festival in the evening, because normally we do it in the afternoon, but over the years we have noticed that people don't really take days off on weekdays. And even though Srila Prabhupada is our Acharya, the tendency is that they don't feel the separation like Narottam Das Thakur, to take the days off to come in the morning and celebrate. So we had, years ago we brought this topic up to the GBC, and after discussion, Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai, the GBC said that the most important thing is everyone gets together and glorify the personalities. Yeah, and that's more important than just a few people in the afternoon. Many years ago we used to do it in the noon, and what happened was the devotees who work would come just for the Pushpanjali. They'll come right on 12 o'clock, they do Pushpanjali, take Prasadam, and they go away. So there was no real feelings of or listening to the realizations and the glorifications properly. And we felt they were not having any heartfelt connection with the acharyas. So when this was brought up to our GBC, he mentioned that this is, of course he preferred the noon, but he said the more people get the association, it benefits the greater audience, it's better. So hopefully over the years they will all take days off and celebrate in the noon time. But in the meantime, we will do what is best for everyone. All right. So Srila Prabhupada took his divine birth in Calcutta on 1st September 1896. That was the day after. I should know this. Janmashtami. Yeah. This is one date you cannot forget. And you can see the day after Janmashtami, everyone is not even at the temple also, and they slowly come into the temple room, right? Around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and like that. And Srila Prabhupada manifested many wonderful he exhibited many qualities during his life, and when you speak to many of his disciples, they have amazing revelations, exchanges, and things that he said. And so I would recommend that if you have the time and the opportunity, you should listen to the memories, videos, tapes, and you can see so much information about Prabhupada. You can practically spend 10, 12 years or more just simply reciting Srila Prabhupada's glories, things that he did to his, for the movement, the austerities he endeavored and took upon himself so that he can help all of us here, So in 1977, 14th November, Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan left this mortal world. You can say he kind of finished his physical leela. Right? I was once told that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's leela is still continuing on because Srila Prabhupada is part of Chaitanya leela. So if each individual takes part in serving Srila Prabhupada, you are also connected to that Chaitanya leela. So you can say, I'm part of the leela. But actually it's the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And I was also told by one Prabhupada disciple that Srila Prabhupada took birth the next day so that we can actually have a wonderful festival. Because you fast the whole day on Janmashtami, so the next day, so he made everything easier. Of course, you have to fast the daytime, but still, that was part of his mercy, they said. He went to good college, Scottish church college, when he was a younger man, and he studied very nicely. But he didn't. When he graduated, he didn't want to accept the degree because he felt India was under the influence of the British rule. So Gandhi was against the British. So he was a great follower of the Gandhi's movement, because Gandhi is fighting against the British rule. And in his college days, he found how the professors would speak less about the culture, the Indian culture and so on. And so he had noticed that, and in his heart he felt this was not correct, that the Indian culture was more than what they understood. Now Srila Prabhupada was special. When he was a little boy, he said that his father would come after work in the night, and then whilst he was, even though he worked so late, he would still prepare something for their family deity, and he would offer, and the bell will go ding, 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 ding. So Prabhupada, in the Lilamrita, you will read in the first part that a lifetime in preparation, the volume you can read. I find that the best volume among all the others, because that's more like they have to figure out how Prabhupada lived, whereas the other sections, there were witnesses and the historical accounts, so it reads more like a history book, whereas the first one is more from the heart and realization of what Prabhupada went through. So Srila Prabhupada says while he would sleep, and then he would hear in the middle of the night his father ringing the bell, ding, 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 ding. So Prabhupada said his father actually trained him in this deity worship, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him everything else, the jnana, the devotion, everything was already developed when he was a little boy, but his Guru Maharaj actually gave him all the other necessary tools for preaching. So he got that taste from very young age, and then when he was a little boy, he was given the deities, Radha Govinda, Shri Radha Govinda. And he used to offer just like his father was doing, and does arti and so on. So while in college, he felt there was so much work to do, to study, so he put the deities in the box. And then one night he had a dream, and the deities were like, Abai, why are you not worshipping us? I mean, many of us, we grew up in Indian culture and so on. We do worship, but we don't get deities coming to us and say, why have we neglected our worship? So from a very young age, the symptoms of a great acharya was already there. Obviously, it wasn't so obvious for most people, but when you talk about it, you can understand Srila Prabhupada was of a special personality. He is very humble about it. Srila Prabhupada never talks about his greatness or who he was. He always glorified his spiritual master. And he writes about himself, not directly, but he mentions that in text 42, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 42 purport, he writes that in India there are many such acharya families, but they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists generation after generation. Then he writes, it is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupada Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self, he's talking about himself, had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. So you can see, he's not an ordinary person. But Prabhupada was always like that. He always took a very humble position, never glorifies himself. He never says that he's great or whatever. He went through a lot of difficulty. Of course, when he met his spiritual master, at that time he challenged his spiritual master because India was still under the British rule. So he felt all this devotional practice a waste of time. He said, how can you really do things if you are still subjugated? And naturally, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur defeated him, and Prabhupada says he was very happy that he felt that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati defeated him, and he felt that the Bhakti cult, the movement, was in very favorable and strong hands, and he felt that was good. But when he first met, even before he opened his mouth, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, you are a learned boy, you should, translate and preach in the West. So he was shocked. And much later, he would write again to his spiritual master and ask what he can do. He was a householder, and he saw all his other god brothers who were sannyasis and brahmacharis serving full time, so he felt he wasn't doing much. So again, his spiritual master wrote back and said, just translate book, And then it is also said that just prior to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, before he left his body, Srila Prabhupada had written him saying he wanted to do something, And again, the letter when it came, it said, I just want you to translate. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur never changed his instructions for Prabhupada. So from the very beginning, he knew this personality was very qualified. So among his god brothers, they were thinking that when Mahaprabhu said that this movement would go all over the world, they all felt that this was just one of those like parables, And they thought, but no one is going to do that. Even when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent some of his sannyasi god brothers to England, they came back and they were not successful. They were not able to convince the locals to practice. So they took it like that, and I believe Sridhar Swami, Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, said that that's how they felt, that nobody could do that. And then when Prabhupada did that, then they realized that this can only be done by someone who is particularly and specially empowered. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that when he read Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, Ekehe Kurunanda Vyasa Mekha Buddhi, that verse 240. 41, 42, 41. That when he read the translation by Vishwanath Chakravarti on that, the purport on that particular verse where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that how even if the whole world is being destroyed, at the end of the world, creation, still he would be focused on the instructions of the spiritual master. And so that had a great impact on Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada mentioned that it had affected him so much that he therefore focused on that instructions of his spiritual master. Obviously, after his spiritual master left, he still had his family members to take care, and he went through great difficulties trying to run a business, his family, at the same time perform his devotional activities, and he was always trying to organize so many different functions for his sannyasi godbrothers to come and preach. So he'd organize so many wonderful programs like that. So he didn't just sit on his butt and do nothing. Even as a grihastha, he was always making sure that these devotional practices were going on. The service to push the movement was always there. He didn't think that he was like a CEO, of his pharmaceutical company, and still he made time to ensure that programs were coordinated for preaching purposes and so on. Even though he comes late, he would still continue to do such activity. So we should understand also that in this modern age, things are much easier in one sense. Maybe difficult in other aspects, but still, in one sense, it's easier to, with our technology and so on, we can call people, organize gatherings, Twitter, Facebook, like that. Prabhupada didn't have all that, so you can imagine how difficult it was for him. But still, he gathered that. He'd give a lot of his donations for preaching as well. And as time went on, he found that he was more attracted to devotional practices rather than the business. He was also thinking at one point that he may make lots of money in his pharmaceutical and use that in the service of Krishna. But he found that the more he was thinking like that, the more his business was going away. So finally he said he was in Bombay one time, and then he got a letter saying that his servant and his workers had ran away with all the money from his business. And so his friend was telling him, I think Dr. Bose or someone was telling him, you better go back and make more money, otherwise your business will go. Then Prabhupada mentioned to him, he said, I think this is very nice, very good. Now I don't have to worry about the business anymore. So he was coming to the point of resignation and renouncement, that this is a good thing, actually it's a good thing. The burden of worrying about this business making more and more is gone. He was thinking like that. Ultimately, by the grace of his spiritual master, to whom he was so dedicated and loved, and Krishna, they blessed Srila Prabhupada such that when he was towards middle age like that, 50s, mid-50s, that at one time he was at work. His wife was not so favorable, that she exchanged his Bhagavatam for a tea biscuits. And when Prabhupada found that out, he kind of lost it. Of course, he is a Vaishnava, but from external point of view, it appears that he lost it. He didn't say anything. He took whatever he had, whatever he needed, and then he walked out of the house. He took up vanaprastha, so to speak. And he lived among his god brothers in different maths, trying to help them, trying to push the movement. But he found that there was not much cooperation. Most people, when they have a nice temple and so on, they are pretty contented, my life is set, I don't have to work anymore. I get my meals 3 times a day and that's about it, So Prabhupada wasn't happy. So he tried many different ways, and at one point he even went to that city of Jhansi, right? Yeah. And he even started a prototype of Iskcon, right? A league of devotees, yeah. So in that he outlines they have to follow 4 regulative principles, get up in the morning, read the Bhagavatam, all that was already there. He already had formulated all this thing. You can see, this was in the 50s and he already was thinking far, far ahead of how the movement should be. And throughout his life, after his Guru Maharaj left his body, he had these recurrent dreams where Bhaktisiddhanta would come and tell him to take sannyas, and he was not so keen. It's not easy, to take sannyas. Everyone thinks it's so easy. Or in the modern society, everyone thinks taking sannyas is the promotion, Okay, either promoted from a brahmachari to a sannyas, or a grihastha, vanaprastha to a sannyas. And then now I have everything. I've got everything. The same kind of mentality. But that's not the goal, right? Sannyas means you give up everything and you dedicate to Guru and Krishna, body, mind and words. So that vairagya must develop in the heart to do that. So Prabhupada was afraid whenever he got this dream. So when he finally he approached his god brothers, Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava ki Jai, Iskcon Guru Vrinda ki Jai. So he approached his god brother, I think Bhakti Prakya Keshava Maharaj, and then he said, no, this is a sign that you must take sannyas. And he was still reluctant. Then there was another god brother who was like 90 years old, 89 or 90 years old. So he said, if he takes, I'll take. And so they took together at that age. And Srila Prabhupada finally became a sannyas. Now when he was much younger also, before he took sannyas, he would write amazingly. His ability to convey or to take the Vedic understanding and convey in simple English was really astounding. Personally for me, I've read philosophy books that were written by mundane people and others, even some swamis and so on, but they never appealed to me. I mean, the fact of philosophy appeals, that you want to know about creation, God. But when I was reading those, it was just, it would jar my intelligence, It would just shatter you. But when I first read Prabhupada's book, it was so easy to understand. I was like, wow, this makes sense. Oh yeah, that's good. And but when you read the others, it's like they say there's nothing and nothing. You meditate on nothing, and I'm like, okay, it didn't make a lot of sense. But Prabhupada books make so much sense. People who cannot understand, they will argue, but still they will be finding it very attractive. It's very attractive to read Prabhupada's books, the way he presents the philosophy. So when he wrote in such wonderful way, his own god brothers gave him the title. This was in 1947. They gave him the title of Bhakti Vedanta. That means he who understands the conclusion of bhakti, how to use it. So like that. So Srila Prabhupada, of course, after he took sannyas, he tried so many ways to propagate the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he only constantly found more and more hindrances externally as well as internally within his own god brothers and so on. For some reason there was always a hindrance, and finally so much so that he realized he had to do it by himself. So then he took it upon himself, and he met someone a friend who said, don't write magazines. He was writing Back to God magazine and distributing. They said, better is if you write a book, it will be always there, people can use it as reference and so on. And as usual, he took it as a sign of Krishna telling him what to do, or his spiritual masters instructing him. So he took that up, and he started to translate the Bhagavatam, and he wrote the first canto. And in fact, he also translated the Bhagavad Gita at that time when he was young, but he says someone stole it, the manuscript. Okay, and so you can imagine, this Bhagavad Gita has been written, Srila Prabhupada wrote it again when he came back here in the US, and he wrote it again. That's amazing. And I think he could remember exactly how he wanted to present it. And this is like the Acharya, but he acted like a covered Acharya, not when people look at an Acharya, they can, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when he was born, they could see his bodily lakshana. Based on that, they say, this is the Mahapurusha. But Srila Prabhupada was always covered. He kept everything covered. He didn't want to reveal. when his disciples once said that, one disciple said, Prabhupada, I dreamt and I saw this golden personality and I thought it was you. Then, who are you, Prabhupada? And then Prabhupada said, if I told you who I am, you will faint. So, he never really revealed himself, but of course, if we are sincere and we follow very nicely Srila Prabhupada's teachings, Srila Prabhupada instructed his disciples that all you have to do is, I give instructions and you? No, he said, you try to follow. So that's the difference. You follow means you must do it, But Srila Prabhupada said, try to do it. So that is immense compassion, because we are all very fallen in this age. Each of us can really look into our hearts and see how fallen we are, how envious, how selfish we are, how degraded our lifestyles are, how covered in the mode of ignorance we are. In the 8th canto, Gajendra says, he says the body is ignorance, right? Externally there's ignorance affecting, the body is also ignorance. And then he says, but the ignorance in the soul cannot be taken away by time. Because the body can be gone, but the ignorance with the soul cannot be gone except through the mercy of a spiritual master. So Prabhupada was extending that mercy to his disciples. And so in one class, Prabhupada says that he wanted his disciples to follow 10%. That's the word Prabhupada uses, 10%. And all of them like, Prabhupada, they felt like so morose. And Prabhupada looked at them and said, well, at least 95%. And still they were like, oh, Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said, 90%. They were like, oh. Then Prabhupada looked at them, he stood up and said, 75% and no less. And he left. So you can see his compassion, how he wanted to still take them back to Godhead. And then they were still like thinking, it's so difficult, 75% also. Because of our habits, we have so many bad habits, all of us. It's so hard to give up in this yuga. Even though we associate and we try to associate, it's so difficult. So then Prabhupada then came back. Knowing the hearts of his disciple, he came back and in his, eternal compassionate nature, he looked at them and said, you just hold my dhoti. I have the key to Krishna's back door. Yeah. So you can see, he's simply extending himself over and over just to take us back to Godhead. And all we have to do is sincerely try to follow. Sincerely, not dubliciously, sincerely. Do your best, give up all the bad qualities that we are harboring in our heart. Give it up. In that way, we can actually get Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So in 1965, after a lot of discussion with Murarji, yes. Murari, I'm thinking of Murari. Murarji. So he convinced her and she gave him the passage to India in the Jaladutta. Jaladutta means the water carrier, water bearer. So just like that, Srila Prabhupada was born, and through the journey he suffered a few heart attacks. And he writes, later on he tells his disciple that when he was suffering the heart attack, Krishna personally came and massaged his heart. He did not reveal, much later he told them to make him well. And then at that time, the ocean was so bad, and he said, the 10 avatars came and rowed the boat. So, Prabhupada didn't tell me personally, but his disciples were saying like that. But they were personally rowing the boat, and I'm like, what? But meaning he was so dear to Krishna that they wanted him to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. So there are other nice discussions. That it was said that in one time in the New York, is it the park, that he was sitting with another man, and then he was saying how that that he could see all the temples and everything in the future. So already Prabhupada is envisioning. Even at that time he had nothing much than a small place he was renting like that. Yeah. So Prabhupada's vision was there, and Sri Krishna fulfilled his vision. So yeah, and in 1965 he came, Boston Harbor, stayed with a friend. Was that Susan? Agarwal, Susan Agarwal. Gopal Agarwal, and then, yeah, the wife. Sally, yes, thank you, yeah. Time to read the Lilamrita again, to refresh. Yeah, so then he lived with them, but he was never happy because he was so far away and he wasn't in the midst of people. He wanted to give what he had brought from India. And slowly he came back, he left them, he met another Mayavadi personality, and then Mishra, Dr. Mishra, yeah. So then he had a yoga class, and then he would talk impersonalism, and Prabhupada would then follow up and smash the impersonalism. So finally Mishra didn't like Prabhupada, and he told him to go away. So like that, Prabhupada already had some people who attracted to him, and out of them, one or two of them brought him to a certain place in the Bauri, and that's where it actually caught steam, or you can say caught fire. The spark started to become more stronger. People were talking about Srila Prabhupada, the saint from India, and whatever he said is amazing, and when he chants, it's out of this world. And so you can see when you read the Lilamrita how forever high, the Woodstock, all of these things start coming, and how people would go rushing, and they were getting the taste. And what is that, Thompson Park or Thompson Square Park, where he was chanting, and people felt amazed by the way he was chanting, and it really touched their heart, because the chanting from lips of a pure devotee has got greater efficacy, and that it purifies anyone who just simply hears like that. And so the movement started. In 1966, he establishes our movement formally in New York, registered, and from there Srila Prabhupada travels around the world, cities, and then he goes like what, 14 times around the world? Yeah, in the span of 11, 12 years. Yeah. Of course, last week we heard from Giriraj Swami how during his last days, how he was, you can say, play acting or feigning death sometimes, and then sometimes saying, I'll be back. So he was pulling in this feeling of so much affection, just like we were reading the song by Narottam, how much he's feeling separation. Even before Srila Prabhupada was leaving, he made them feel that they were going to be separated. And therefore he evoked the genuine, true emotions of his disciples and purified that at the level of pure devotional service, where they wanted to be with their spiritual master, nothing mundane like that. And so he was raising their consciousness even at the very last moment. And even at the last few days, as he was dying, as he was preparing to leave his body, Srila Prabhupada still continued to translate the Bhagavatam. So the last chapter is the 10th chapter, 14th chapter, Brahma's Vimohana Leela. So that's what he translated before he disappeared. So it's an amazing personality. Like I said, you cannot actually glorify Srila Prabhupada in few words or in maybe 40 minutes or half an hour or whatever. It's not possible. For many, many new devotees who have not met Prabhupada, simply reading his book, Srila Prabhupada has appeared to them in their dreams and given them instructions. This is not something I've made up, because I know for a fact, because he has appeared in my dream also and given instructions also. So he does, when people say he comes in their dreams, so it is a fact. It's not something that... so the acharyas are never gone, they are always there, you know. Just like in Star Wars, right? When the Jedi Knights, they come back to guide the others. So I think you can relate to that. So in the same way, you know, the acharyas and all, they are in their spiritual realm, and they can easily connect to us in this material realm to guide us if we are sincere. The process of doing devotion or bhakti must be on the sincerity, the level of sincerity you have. Otherwise you won't reap the benefits. You cannot just do it for external reasons or just to show externally I am a devotee. It has to be internalized. The Super Soul knows the very fact, Upadasta Mantascha Varta Bhakta Maheshwara, so he knows for sure whether you are sincere or not. So that connects you to your spiritual masters and the acharyas, and they will reciprocate. Srila Prabhupada, prior to coming to the West, he would go to Srivas Anga, and then there's Advaita Bhavan also. So there he would go and chant. Very, very intensely he would chant. There was a sannyas who used to take care of that place, and he would see this grihastha come. And then he would sit in the corner and cry. But he never disturbed him. He said, this sadhu, leave him alone, like that. So then many years later, he didn't see him, and then one day he saw a sannyasi come and then chant. Then he recognized the chanting, and then the sannyas was also crying. Then he said, you're the same person? And he said, yes. And why are you crying? He said, I'm crying because I'm asking for mercy from Advaita, Srivas and all, that my spiritual master has given me a very difficult task to go back, to go to the West and preach, and I'm asking for their mercy. And I'll be leaving in a few days. So I've come to do that. So it's just mind-boggling when you read Srila Prabhupada's life, some of the things. Once in Vrindavan, I just remember, Yamuna Mataji says that Srila Prabhupada in his Radha Damodar, he used to stay there, and then a monkey went and grabbed Srila Prabhupada's on the table. And Srila Prabhupada was at that time either translating or writing. So when the monkey grabbed, I'm not sure what he grabbed, she grabbed, Srila Prabhupada caught hold of the monkey's hand. So outside the devotee saw, Yamuna said she saw, so she ran quickly and then she opened the door, and then she said when she opened the door, Prabhupada was speaking to the monkey in monkey language. And then she like, Prabhupada, her mouth was open, she was staring. And then when Prabhupada looked at her and put the finger in the mouth and said, shh, don't tell anyone, like that. So it just far out. And then in another time, I think this also was told to me by one Prabhupada disciple, that they used to have nectar devotion classes in Radha Damodar. So Prabhupada was once telling them about how there is a snake that can fly. I mean, we've never heard of snakes flying. So Prabhupada was explaining, when the snake doesn't use its poison for 100 years, then it becomes a jewel. So then it uses a jewel like a light to look for prey, and if it lives for 1,000 years without losing its poison, then it will grow a wing, and then it can fly like that. So these are far out things he said. And then another thing he said was, in the creation we can't see, but there are birds that lay eggs in the sun planet. So this bird, I think the Red Indians call it the thunderbird, like something like that. There's a discussion like that in the Lilamrita. So then Prabhupada says these birds will grow, fly and lay eggs, and the eggs will hatch in the sun planet, like that. It's just things that within this material world we don't even know, and Prabhupada is revealing a little bit of knowledge to show there are so many amazing things that are going on, and we can follow those things foolishly or blindly in trying to research. But the one amazing thing that we all have in our hand is the mercy of the acharyas, that we can take and get out and not worry about who's flying where, like that. So now I will stop, and I would like you all to say, maybe since you have the mic, Bhaktidas, tell me what Prabhupada means to you.
I guess just briefly, I could say that before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was basically running around trying to find some purpose or meaning to my life, and I couldn't find anything, so I was just miserable and depressed. Couldn't find motivation to really do anything. But after really becoming open to hearing the message that Prabhupada was giving, that he's giving to everyone freely, it's while I still feel completely unqualified and I still have a lot of things that prevent me from being fully surrendered to that mission, I still feel like I can do some good to help others. Thanks to Prabhupada engaging us and going on book distribution, I find some of the greatest joy just being able to connect with somebody about and bring them closer to the relationship with Krishna. So, yeah.
Nice. Pranahari Prabhu, anything you want to say? It doesn't have to be what I asked Doug.
Well, I was thinking how Srila Prabhupada had a great desire to fulfill his spiritual master's desire. So our acharyas, they have this desire to fulfill Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, which is to basically spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And so Srila Prabhupada, as the representative of that desire, it's really by his mercy that myself and others who are so wicked and wretched can actually practice Krishna consciousness and have the opportunity for service to in the society of devotees. In one sense, it's his mercy that that all the temples, all the facility, the infrastructure is set up. We have the Bhaktivedanta library, so everything you need to know, all the instructions are there in Prabhupada's books, and so thousands of lectures. We have so much Prabhupada gave us, and so in that sense we ought to take advantage of what this mercy that he's given. And I also think that because of his desire, and all of these things are the manifestation of that intense desire to give Krishna consciousness, due to this desire, also, we say that when chanting Hare Krishna, it's a call, please engage me in your service. And I mean, the fact is, at least for myself, I feel like I barely have the sincerity to call that out. Please engage me in your service. I don't know if that has sincerely, been uttered by me once. Yet here I am, given many opportunities to engage in Krishna's service, and I think that that's through the desire of Srila Prabhupada, that his desire was so strong that even with the most insincere attempt at chanting or insincere attempt at service, or it seems like the Lord is even more magnanimous. That, hey, my devotee wants it, so then we'll give it. Just like in the Damodar Ashtakam, or in that Damodar Leela that Kuvera and Manigriva, Kuvera's sons, they got that boon because Narada Muni, Narada Muni cursed them, but then they begged forgiveness, and Narada Muni said, okay, well, you still have to take birth as trees, but you will get a chance to, get liberated by Supreme Lord. So then Krishna was thinking, he saw the trees and he said, oh yeah, my devotee Narada said I have to liberate them, okay. And so I think our Acharya's comment that this is very significant, that it's due to the desire of the pure devotees of the Lord that these two personalities got liberation, got the mercy of Krishna. So similarly, I am also, everyone is a product of the pure devotee's mercy, and so all members of Iskcon are certainly indebted to Srila Prabhupada for his strong desire. And it's a nice day to remember this.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Mother Jala Josha, your Srila Prabhupada's disciple. Tell us how it has affected you. He has affected you.
Well, I don't know what I did in my past lives, but I got the amazing mercy from Krishna to have him like my spiritual master. He's the savior of this material world, of the universe, of all the creation of Krishna. He is the most amazing soul that he brought us to Krishna himself to worship them. We don't see it, but they are here in front of us, like the majestic Krishna and Radharani and all the deities in here. I cannot pay, I cannot do nothing about that, just only to serve him, to get the mercy of him, to take me from this life, the material world. I don't know. He's my father. He's my only way to get Krishna. Sorry.
That's all right. It's nice.
For me, it's the amazing soul. We cannot see, nobody see that he's the amazing soul that Krishna gave us, because Krishna is merciful. And he gave us him. And still he's here. And he always be here to open our minds and give us this treasure. I don't have words to describe him, how it's amazing for me. It's just only the only way to get Krishna.
Jai.
There is no another way. He is only the way for everybody, not just for me, for everybody, for all the human beings.
Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sarvabhauma Prabhu, tell us about your connection with Srila Prabhupada.
I can say that there's a personal nature to everything, and I wouldn't have become involved in a movement like Iskcon, if I hadn't read about the founder of Iskcon, what kind of a human being he was, what kind of sacrifice he made. It's just a different culture, very different from the American culture. So I got into yoga and meditation, which gave me some connection to India. Then I met the devotees, and one devotee was mailing me the Back to Godhead magazine every month for a while. I wasn't ready to become a devotee. And at that time there was, the Lilamrita had not come out as a book, the life of Prabhupada, but every month in the Back to Godhead magazine they were putting some installment. So there was one month I was reading in the Back to Godhead how Prabhupada was in New York, staying at some sort of crazy hippie's place, and in the middle of the night, Prabhupada felt that this guy was going to kill him or something, so Prabhupada walked out onto the left, walked out on the street or something. So I was just amazed by this story, and then I wanted to know more about Prabhupada. So I came to the temple later and got the latest magazine the next month. But the Prabhupada's human qualities, I'm okay. I'll hold it in my left hand. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj made a comment that when he read the Lilamrita, he appreciated the struggles that Prabhupada went through as a human being, how Prabhupada got gored by a cow or a bull in Vrindavan, and so many difficulties he went through dealing with the hippies. Because Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said that sometimes we think of a pure devotee just being in a bubble, everything's arranged by Krishna. He doesn't have to sacrifice anything, do anything. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj said some of his favorite parts of the Bhagavatam were showing the human side of Prabhupada, where he sacrificed and made difficult choices and did amazing surrender to Prabhupada in a very human way. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said some of those parts of the Lilamrita were the most touching to him, and I agree with that in my own situation. So.
Nice. Rasikanda Prabhu, give us. After you, Guru Priya can say.
I was thinking Prabhupada was Prabhupada only gave himself 2 credit. He said,
Put your mic.
I never changed anything what my spiritual master instructed me. And I was never lazy. So Prabhupada, I think indirectly is telling us that if you just stick to these 2 principles, all success will come in Krishna consciousness. And another something very pivotal in Prabhupada's success is because he was so bent on removing impersonalism in this world. I just saw our pranam mantra for Prabhupada is up. We had it up a couple of months back, so there was a little defect in it. So Shyamasundar Prabhu and the team have put the pranam mantra back up there. So